All right, you guys are rocking some and inequalities. So now that you've got that under control, I want to show you some or inequalities. Now, little secret, I saved the easier ones for second. So or inequalities are not quite as difficult as and inequalities because they're already written as two inequalities for you, separated by or. So we already have that first step of and inequalities of writing them separately. That's already done for you in an or inequality. So we will just solve each inequality separately. So we already have our two inequalities. So just like the and, we have one here to solve, and then we have one over here to solve. So this time, we're still going to follow process. We're still going to do the same inverse operations that we did before to solve an inequality. So over here, if I'm trying to get a by itself, my first step would be to add 1 and add 1. So negative 1 plus 1 is 0. So I'm left with negative 10a is less than negative 1 plus 1 over here is 0 as well. Do not be afraid of 0 over here. 0 over here simply gives me 0 down here. You can still, the reason that we don't write it over here is because we don't need a 0 anymore. Because 0 plus or minus anything is just this number, so there's no need for it. But we do need the 0 over here as a placeholder. It keeps this place, it shows me that there's still another side of the inequality over here. I'm still trying to get a by itself, so I divide by negative 10. Even if you're dividing 0 by negative 10, when we multiply or divide by a negative in inequalities, we must flip this sign. So from instead of less than, it becomes greater than 0. So that's my left-hand side. That's one of my solutions. That's part of my solution. Or, and then I need to work this one out. So I would say minus 10, minus 10. Negative 5 minus 10 is negative 15, so 3a is less than negative 15. Divide by 3, divide by 3. Careful here, I did not divide by a negative, so I do not flip my sign. I only flip my sign if this number right here that I divided by on both sides is negative. This 3 is positive, so I do not flip my sign. So it is a is less than negative 5. So a is greater than 0, or a is less than negative 5. So if I come down here, I would rewrite my solution back as an or inequality if possible. So a is greater than 0. Okay, think about what numbers that would be. Or a is less than negative 5. Is there any number that can be greater than 0 and less than negative 5? That's not possible. So if that's not possible, then this would be my solution just like it is. So I would write as my answer, a is greater than 0. Then I would type or a is less than negative 5. So I would put an open circle on 0, an open circle on negative 5. And from negative 5, I'm shading less than, so I would shade to the left. And from 0, I'm shading greater than, so I would shade to the right. And as you can see, this is still an or inequality. It began an or inequality, and it ends as an or inequality because it's shading in opposite directions. If it begins as an or inequality and ends as an and inequality, like if for some reason you shaded in the middle, then that would be an infinite solutions case, which we will discuss in just a little bit.